Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. Lots to cover again today as we'll be talking about XRP or Ripple, XLM as well is also on the list to cover today, and also some more bullish Hbar news with another use case, and also looking at another promotional video from Stader, Hedera, talking about Hedera and its ecosystem. As we can see on the weekly performance, Hbar is still down roughly 4% on the week, and we are in that healthy accumulation zone, which we don't seem to be falling out of just yet. XRP is up nearly 7% on the week, with XLM pushing just over 7 and a bit percent, approaching 7.5%. It looks like some of the market is returning to green, some of these other cryptocurrencies that were heavily beat down. So BAT we can see here, or basic attention token from Brave. The graph, XEC, NEAR is not doing too badly. We've got CVX down here. Some different cryptocurrencies performing fairly well. Phantom is still taking an absolute beating and has now moved down to rank 38. Looks like that news of the CEO's departure and taking those applications with it has really hurt the reputation of this crypto project. Some of you will probably be aware of that from my previous videos. We can also see for some reason Rune has run up nearly 85% for God knows what reason. Not something that I particularly follow, but if you hold Rune, then I guess you've done quite well over the last week or so. Maybe worth looking to take some profits from that. If we flick over, we can look at this article from the Cointelegraph, and this is the news on Ripple effectively. So motions have been denied for both the SEC and Ripple as the battle continues. So Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse claims a big win in the dismissal of an SEC motion while remaining silent about the ruling on his own motion. So it still seems like it's tit for tat effectively. Ripple has argued that it was not given fair notice that the agency would consider Ripple's XRP a security, thus denying the company due process. Judge Torres denied the SEC motion filed in March to dismiss this defense, and by doing so, it affirmed that the defense is viable in the suit. In other words, the defense, if accepted, could be used to win the case. And then Brad Garlinghouse goes on to say, if you weren't paying attention today, you should be now. Huge win for Ripple today, as it's clear there's a serious question whether the SEC ever provided Ripple with fair notice that its distributions of XRP would ever be prohibited under the securities law. So it is still leaning towards XRP winning this case against the SEC. Naturally, this may still get drawn out over the course of 2022. Fingers crossed there's a resolution quickly, and then we may see some of that very bullish price appreciation. Flicking over, talking about SourceSwap again. So some good news here for SourceSwap. As I said before, they continue their development, and we can see that they are dropping a free Gravity NFT, which gives you all the perks to a random follower via this Twitter competition. So if you guys aren't following them, I urge you to go and follow them. They have been dropping lots of different stuff. Also, 17 hours ago, they have just updated their roadmap to more accurately reflect what's coming next. So some really bullish stuff in their roadmap as well. So if we look at H2 of 2022, we can see that they're continuing to create instructional videos for swap liquidity and farm protocols. The Source Hbar and USDC Hbar liquidity pools will be created, as well as the crop circles, which is their own kind of take on another kind of liquidity pool / farming, UFO pools, single-sided staking, so an infinity pool, so that's effectively where you deposit Hbar and then you receive Hbar back, or you stake Source and you receive Source. Transition to DAO, community pools, alien NFT avatars, and intergalactic cross swap, which is also very, very big. I've mentioned this project on the channel quite a few times, as it will probably be, or it definitely will be, the first DEX to land on the Hedera ecosystem, and this could be absolutely massive. For any of you who were early adopters of the Binance Smart Chain will know how powerful and influential PancakeSwap was, and how well Cake did in those early sort of months of the growth of the ecosystem. And we could see something very similar here on Hedera, with the Source token being sort of a very sort of profitable entrance effectively as this ecosystem goes through an explosion. So some really bullish stuff there from SourceSwap, which is nice to see. Flicking over, this is the news I wanted to cover on XLM. Some very good thoughts by Notice. Obviously, he's another influencer or sort of crypto YouTuber, and he talks about why he's buying more XLM than XRP. Both will still win, but XLM is beyond undervalued at the moment. So Stellar assisted the US Treasury with their report on stablecoins, and also spoke in Congress on behalf of all crypto, the only coin to do so. Not only that, talking about the US Treasury with their report on stablecoins and CBDCs, for example, XLM has been the chosen coin for Ukraine CBDC. So obviously unfortunate Tensions at the moment between Ukraine and Russia have put most of that legislation on the back burner. However, Ukraine did approve XLM to continue development of a Ukrainian CBDC. So they are working with major like national governments effectively to develop central bank digital currencies. Really bullish stuff for Stellar. Not only that, the CEO of XLM doesn't hold any coins, adding to the decentralized nature, at least at face value, when some Ripple devs own market maker bots, etc. Not saying Ripple is wrong, just a big difference in mentality. Third point being XLM was half the supply of XRP and 8 times lower market cap. For a coin with great fundamentals, also adding smart contracts later this year, how can this be? I'll flick over in a minute as I've been putting together an infographic which kind of looks at this in more detail. We also see XLM has enterprise adoption with IBM, but it also has big retail presence helping the unbanked get banked. IBM page over here on their support page. And number 5 being XLM is one of the few cryptocurrencies that is completely transparent with their funds. They've barely used their marketing balance yet. All of this helps with regulation clarity and should be the new standard. So we can see here that they're very transparent over on their website with their original balance and what's left. And then also he talks about the big partners, for example, MoneyGram, which will be launching this year, yet again proving to be a valuable and useful crypto. Now, like I've said to you guys before, I am quite bullish on XLM and XRP as micro payment and remittance systems. They're very, very cheap, they're fast, and they do what they claim to do effectively. There's no doubt about that. Flicking over to what he was talking about in terms of market caps and stuff. This is another infographic I've been putting together, just sort of finalizing some of the information in here before I release it. I'll probably release it tomorrow. But it looks at the annualized return since the Genesis block of each of the cryptos here. So the Genesis block being the first ever public block sort of minted or mined on the chains. And what the annualized return here is actually a measure called CAGR or CAGR, so compound annual growth rate. And the reason I've used that measure is to sort of standardize the return periods across 12 months. Obviously, if you did a simple percentage change from Bitcoin's inaugural or Genesis block to today, it is literally like hundreds of thousands of percent, and it's way off the chart. So this looks at what the annualized gain is every single year. So you hold Bitcoin for 12 months and you see roughly a 280% gain. Now, what we can see here is some of these very popular layer ones had absolutely explosive annualized returns over the last sort of year or so since their launch, because they're very new cryptocurrencies. And whereas we look at some of these either more established or sort of unknown cryptocurrencies, so we've got Stellar, Ripple, Hedera, and Algorand, and we can see that they're all actually quite low in comparison to the rest of the cryptocurrencies. So my question, you can look at this 2 ways. You could either say these 4 projects underperform and these, say, 4 projects are overperforming, or you could say these projects have already had their bull run, it's over, they're not going to maintain these annualized gains, and actually these projects on the lower end are completely undervalued and have not seen the explosive growth that we're used to within the crypto markets. I lean towards looking at this graph or infographic as being these 4 projects are probably highly undervalued in relation to the rest of the market. And this also comes into another economic or financial market thesis called the mean reversion, which is that over time, the majority of assets revert to the mean of gains for that market. So if you have an underperformer and overperformer, over time, they tend to converge towards the mean. So the mean for the equities market could be the S&P 500, which is say 8%. So majority of equities or assets over that time will converge towards the mean. You guys can do some more research on that, but that is a very valid sort of piece of thesis. So if we take here the mean being 280%, we could see that these projects have highly overperformed and they are likely to revert back towards the Bitcoin mean. And we could also see that these projects have potentially underperformed and they will begin to increase over time towards the mean of this, say, 280% if we take Bitcoin as the mean. So just some sort of additional supplementary information there for you guys to digest. Flicking over, this is the Stader Hedera video they published earlier today, and it talks about if you aren't already convinced by Hbar, maybe this will change your mind. And it talks about 5 different reasons. So the first one being EVM compatible smart contracts 2.0, which is very bullish. This allows dApps on Ethereum to easily migrate to Hedera. This is very, very important, especially as we talk about potentially Ethereum no longer being the #1 layer 1. It allows devs and teams to easily migrate their applications over to Hedera. We've got the partnership with Ubisoft, which was something I covered earlier in the earlier months when it was announced, which is a very bullish partnership, which brings NFTs, of iconic Ubisoft games, as well as new play to earn games. Very, very bullish space, which I think will continue to develop. We've got partnerships with the Shinhan Bank, so over in the sort of Asian markets, the APAC region, massive partnerships here with Shinhan Bank, as well as like CBDC development. And then we can also see leverage stablecoins for international remittances, like I said, CBDCs, and then ERC-like tokens, allowing Hedera smart contract service users to access the HTS, so the Hedera token service. And then finally, we've got staking on Hedera with Stader, which are all I've said. I will continue to cover this, but it looks like it's coming, and it will be coming quickly. One of the last things to look at before I move on to the use case, the new use case for Hedera, is an interesting Twitter account here called Ultimate Crypto Official. Is kind of doing a battle off of votes for cryptocurrency projects. So you can see here voting on Bitcoin BEP2 versus Hedera, and Hedera's got nearly 90% of the votes so far out of 118. So I urge you guys to go over here and vote. It's a little fun sort of side project which is engaging the communities. If I now flick over and we'll look at the use case, and this will wrap up the video. So another use case on Hedera, and it's one called Meeco. So Meeco provides people and organizations the tools to access, control, and create mutual value from personal data. So obviously personal data being incredibly important. It's what's made some of the big tech companies, the biggest companies in the world, think the likes of Facebook and Google, as well as even Microsoft, you know, they're all collecting personal data and they make a lot of money off your personal data. You know, if the service is free, you are probably the product. There's no such thing as a free lunch, guys. We can see here 175 plus zettabytes of data processed by 2025 is the estimation. The Europe market data to be worth over 830 billion, or approaching 1 trillion euros by 2025. And 78% of people do not trust companies with their data. And this is a movement that we've been seeing over time. So the industries being financial services, the use case is decentralized identity and payments. Meeco gives people and organizations the tools to access, control, and create mutual value for personal data privately, securely, and always with explicit consent. The challenge being the over-collection of personal data has led to a steady decline in trust in governments and corporations. Meeco required a public distributed ledger infrastructure to place personal data back into the hands of individuals through a unified wallet offering. The underlying infrastructure had to offer unmatched, publicly verifiable trust, performance, and stability with very low and predictable fees. Sounds familiar? If you've been following my previous videos, this is something that all these use cases share. The solution being, Meeco has chosen the Hedera hash graph as their underlying PDL on which to build a unified wallet offering and SDK. Meeco's multi-purpose wallet and SDK enables startup and enterprise organizations the ability to directly incorporate the following applications with ease: decentralized identity, verifiable credentials based on W3C standards, micropayments, and tokens. And they say here it's an evolution, not a revolution. Meeco creates trust via its multi-purpose wallet and API. It's economically feasible with stablecoin micropayments on Meeco. So we can see here, in order to be or enable scalable micropayments in a decentralized wallet and API, the underlying public distributed ledger must offer high throughput with low fees, less than 1 cent, and the ability to meet those requirements using custom tokens such as stablecoins. So Meeco has chosen the HTS, or the Hedera token service, to enable the minting and transacting of custom tokens for applications using their offering. HTS ensures the same efficiencies as Hedera's native cryptocurrency, Hbar, with a throughput of up to 10,000 transactions per second natively. We all know it's much higher than that. That's definitely a limited figure, with predictable fees of no less or no more than 0.001 cents. There's a lot more information in here talking about Meeco. I urge you to check it out. I'll leave it in the description for you guys to view at your own leisure. But this is a very bullish use case again, and it's very similar to what Brave, so obviously I use Brave browser anyway, kind of what their mission has been, which is, you know, the way ads are served to you, they block every other ad natively, and you choose to accept to view the ads to receive a payment, and it's taking back hold of your own data, rather than your data being used against you to force products upon you. Brave here is effectively sidelining with the consumers, pay you a little bit of income to view those ads, and you may benefit from them, you may not. And it's really important that we start looking at this data as we move into this decentralized world. So this is a very bullish use case in my opinion. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, slightly longer than usual. Nevertheless, if you did enjoy it, please drop a like, leave some comments. I love interacting with you guys. There is a new infographic posted over on my Twitter, which was featured in yesterday's video, and the infographic from today's video will be dropped on my Twitter either tomorrow or the day after, so look forward to that. If you're not following me, go and check me out. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.